Thank you. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled meeting, and we're going to go ahead and call it to order, and we're going to start by Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the roll call. Ms. Palacio.
Governing Board President Sherry Lowell.
Here.
Governing Board Clerk Denise Reese. Here. Governing Board Member Anthony Bruno.
Here.
Governing Board Member Raul Rodriguez.
Present.
Governing Board Member Dr. John Sparks.
Present.
Superintendent Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Scott Downs.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Brett Bonner.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Darlene Robinson.
Present.
Chief Financial Officer Lisette Huey.
Here. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the approval agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe, members of the board. At this time, I do recommend approval of the revised agenda with one noted amendment, and specifically that is on consent agenda item 11, specifically section A. And I ask that you, at this time, that you strike the recommendation regarding Nicole D'Souza from my recommendation. And with that amendment, I would recommend approval of the agenda as presented.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe, members of the board. You have in your packet draft copies of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the board way back on August the 14th. And after review and consideration, I do recommend approval at this time.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to ratification of vouchers. Ms. Huey.
Good evening. Tonight, I recommend ratification for payroll number 4 in the amount of $1,948,168.38. Additionally, I recommend expense vouchers ratification 1012 through 1015 for a total of $2,170,260.54 for a grand total of $4,118. I'm sorry, excuse me. Let's redo that again. $4,118,428.92.
Thank you very much. I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe, members of the board. You know, the school year doesn't have to get too far into itself to give me just shining examples of our students, our staff, our community, and how they continue to shine. Of course, we always begin with our data on enrollment. Although it looks a little bit alarming, I just remind the board and public that the beginning of the year is usually a time of adjustments. I've heard the term getting rid of the ghosts, basically clarifying and verifying data with students that are coming out, that have left, et cetera. So we're still within 1% of projection. As you recall, is that budgeted us very conservatively so that we can be on a trajectory line within budget, and we are. So we'll, of course, continue to monitor that. Many examples. I'll begin with one that didn't even come up until this afternoon. I had to go to Fry's to pick up a couple of things, and I ran into a young man who just graduated, I think, Sahuarita High School. His name is Private First Class John Buentello. He just graduated from United States Marine Corps boot camp at Marine Corps Recruiting Depot, San Diego, California. Is that where you went, Mr. Rodriguez?
That is exactly where.
Exactly. Well,
I have a similar report.
You bet. He mentioned the time he had here in Sahuarita, and specifically the time with Master Sergeant Jeff King and participating in the Raiders program, and how that really shaped his character and helped him be successful in this rigorous experience. I just thought it was, and his mother was with him too, and of course she's very proud. But he was like the most polite, the most respectful young man, you know, that you would ever want to meet. Just our students make us shine. And speaking of students that shine, do we have the screenshot of a young man who graduated not too long ago, Mr. Robert Lowell? There it is. Look at that big smile. And Kim Smith wrote this article about Robert, who graduated, I think it was 18, right, Sherry? 2018 from Walden Grove? And is now just shining brightly in Nashville, Tennessee, where he's starting his third and final year of law school at Vanderbilt University School of Law, which is a very good law school, one of the best in the country, and he's just doing amazing things. You got to read the article that Kim wrote. And Rob's just another one of these young men that just makes us proud, not just in his academic abilities and his accomplishments, but in the quality young man that he is. And I know his mom is very proud of him, but so are the rest of us. We own all of our kids, and we're very proud of all of them. So congratulations to him. Our staff members continue to make us very proud. A lot of us know Mr. Carl Nelson, who's a faculty member and associate football coach at Walden Grove High School. We recently were informed that the Bill of Rights Institute named Mr. Nelson one of the top 10 finalists in the United States of America for the instruction of civics, for civics education. And he's already won, I think, $1,000, and he's one of 10 finalists from all over the country. They'll find out next month. But for the exemplary job that we know that Mr. Nelson does in the instruction of civics in our community, and our students certainly are the beneficiaries of his professional dedication and excellence. This week, I had the opportunity to receive an award in support of our district's efforts to prevent drug and alcohol abuse. I was there with Mr. Bruno with PEP, which stands for Portable Education Purpose. Thank you, sir. And so I was honored to represent and be present for that event. This week, thanks to our friends at SFE, I don't think we have pictures of that, but they're making the kickoff week and the ribbon cuttings, which I'll talk about here next, at both of our high school stadiums and tracks. And SFE just went an extra level. They, as what's that cooking show where they say kick it up a notch? They kicked it up a notch, and they made hundreds of delicious hamburgers with a branded Walden Grove logo on the bun, and they're going to do the same thing for the Mustangs on Friday. So they really are our partners. And speaking of the ribbon cuttings, a few of us had the opportunity to participate in the very nice ribbon cutting yesterday evening at Walden Grove High School. You can see that beautiful state-of-the-art facility. Teams, boys, girls, soccer, football, cheerleading. A few of us, familiar faces, were there to join in the festivities. Also, our friends and partners at Swayman Associates and at Core Construction were there to celebrate the event. And it's just, to me, it's a testimony of community and trust, sacrifice, to give the best of us for the benefit of our young people. Coach Corey Noble, who of course is our AD at Walden and head football coach, said, this is one of the best services, high school services in the state of Arizona now. And it makes me proud that our community is investing at this level to provide that level of quality and really the best of us to our young people in their pursuits. On Friday night, we will do it again at Sahuarita High School, home of the Mustangs. And it should be another festive and exciting event as well. And I believe with that, I would just close with, again, thanking the community. Thank you, Mr. Downs, for being our liaison and our coordinator in terms of these heavy-duty lifts. And this, there's more where that came from, because as I often say, we make promises, we will keep those promises. Promises made, promises kept, and we will do everything we can to honor the trust of our community. Thank you very much, Mrs. Lowell, members of the board.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the governing board reports. Dr. Sparks.
Thank you very much. This evening, I think I happen to know many of my fellow board members have many things to say, so I'm going to let them continue on, and no report from me today.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez.
Well, this one's near and dear to me. Dr. Valenzuela said, Sahuarita shines. We had a lot of students graduated this year. We're really proud of them. One in particular that means a lot to me was Micah Miramontes. Instead of basking in the glory of graduating from Walden Grove, not even a week later, he hopped on a plane, flew to San Diego to attend MCRD, or boot camp with the United States Marine Corps. And I'm happy to say he earned his Eagle Globe and Anchor. He successfully graduated. He's home right now for about a week. He could have stayed home for the summer and enjoyed, sitting by the pool, but instead he decided he was going to put a helmet on, some boots, carry a 40-pound back, and walk around in the dark in San Diego, in the hills out there, in Las Margaritas. And it's a heck of a story. If you ever want to hear some crazy stories, some really funny stories going to make you laugh, sit at a table with a bunch of Marines that are talking about boot camp. And there's no generational gaps with them. It doesn't matter if they were in the 20s or even now in the 2024. All the stories are incredible. That's one thing they can all relate to is boot camp. So he's home right now waiting to go to school. He'll be flying back to San Onofre for School of Infantry. From there, he is going to go to Virginia for MSG training. That's Marine Security Guard. And after successfully graduating from there, he will receive orders to an embassy. And I just wanted to congratulate him. I was hoping he was going to be here.
That's awesome.
That is-
Yeah, we have amazing young people.
Yes.
That was awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Bruno.
Our community, Africa, Latin America, and other. Dr. Valenzuela here.
Look at that.
And then we got QFA. Look at that security.
That is school security right there. It's secure.
I will add about
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
No pressure.
It's okay. It's okay. Knowing Betsy, she'll persist until she gets it. So if we'd like to carry on, we can come back to it. Perfect.
Ms.
Thank
Reese.
you, Mr. Bruno.
Ms. Reese.
So I also attended the Walden Grove ribbon cutting and then the opening to their open house last night. It was a great time, and Walden Grove always does a great job of showcasing their student talent when they do their open house. And I would like to let the community know that both high schools are having their season opener football games, and the first time their bands will take the field. In some cases, it may be the first time their bands have taken the field, because the fields have been under construction. So, but if you have an opportunity and are looking for something to do on Friday night, I'm sure both football teams and both bands would appreciate any community support that they can get. So, thank you.
You're welcome. And Mr. Brenner, I think we have the picture up. There he is with the award.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. And thank you for joining me that evening as well.
Yeah.
It was on Monday night.
We're going to have to put it in an award room. We're starting to collect a lot. That's good. All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to recognition of community staff and students. Dr. Valenzuela, item number B, or actually, Mr. Jones,
Let's see, where are we at?
right here.
Oh, the ASBO International? Well, we're moving right along this evening, ma'am. Yeah.
We are.
And that's because we have so much positive news to share,
That's
and
true.
I'm not going to disappoint on this one. This is the, and unfortunately, I don't have the little pin because it hasn't been received from Indianapolis or wherever it comes from. This is the American Society of School Business Officials or something thereabouts. Right, Lizette? It's a national association. And this is the International Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. And I like to bring it because one of the things I believe with all my heart is that we are entrusted with a tremendous duty. We are the stewards of the public trust and the public dollar. And this is basically a reflection of our annual financial report, which of course the board approves, authorizes, reviews. And it's put under the scrutiny of the very high standards and benchmarks of the association, and only those organizations that meet the highest proficiencies are awarded with this special certificate. We get it. We've gotten it every year, I know, since Lizette's been here. And so I just don't want us to take it for granted because I know what it reflects and represents. And I know that tireless and time and dedication goes into that. We'll bring the pin when it comes in, but I just wanted the public to know that the public's dollars are in good hands with Mrs. Huey at the helm. And so once again, Sahuarita shines. Congratulations, Lizette.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Madam
Yes,
President,
please.
I think it's a good opportunity to talk about financing in schools. I think one of the things I don't think generally people, even people that work in this industry or people on boards, the complexity of finance in a school system and putting together funding from numerous sources, that funding that's changing year as we go, right? We have same year funding in some cases. And I think the complexity of that can't be understated, or can't be overstated, sorry. Can't be overstated. And I think I just want to recognize that not only do you, I think you've gotten this award ever since you've been in this seat. We've gotten this approval, and I appreciate that. But I also want to recognize that I think maybe people in the district and the community may not recognize that there has been regular and consistent efforts on the part of the finance department and your office to remove burden over time. And I know from my perspective, it may not be where you want it yet, but I can tell you make those efforts daily, whether it be finding ways for coaches not to have to carry thousands of dollars of cash in their pocket anymore when they go out on trips, or when teachers go out on trips, they have cards now, whether it be removing minutes from school clubs to reduce the paper load burden on teachers that run these clubs for very, very little money and sometimes for free. And so I think I just want to recognize from my perspective, I see those changes over time and the efforts you're making with your staff to reduce burden on our schools. And I want to recognize that. I appreciate that very much. And I know from my perspective, I'm hearing it. Like it doesn't, and that's important that people feel like that. I think maybe historically, I think in all entities, there's always a rift between the finance department and staff because you control the money and they have to follow rules. But I think that hurdle is dropping and there's more congeniality and more consistency, and I appreciate that. And I think a lot of that is due to your leadership. So I want to Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. May I just add that it is a true team effort. It's all of our attendance clerks. I mean, this is massive. This is not just finance. When you look at finance, yes, counting the kids and the minutes and all those things, they go into all of this, but it's, moving a computer. It's all of the tasks that every single person in this district does. It is just not under mine. It's really everyone's team effort to really try to understand it. Sometimes it can be complex, and I get that. And our goal is to try to make it as easy as possible because there's already a lot of burden, a lot of rules in place, but also still following them. And I think this is a testament because we've been getting this for years, even before me. And so I want to recognize that. But at the end of the day, what this means is that we got better bond grade for this and our financial representation, and therefore we can do more with our bond dollars because of that. And so again, it's just a team effort. It's everyone in the district. It is not just me. So I don't want to take all the credit, but at the end of the day, I really want to recognize every single team member's resources. They're always looking for different resources. They're always looking for grant opportunities. They're always looking for more, to do more with less. And I applaud everyone in the district. So I just wanted to add that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And we will move on to call
Dr.
public.
Valenzuela?
What?
If I may, we do have an employee of the month.
Oh,
Good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Please,
I
Mr.
apologize.
Downs.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Downs, and thank you, President
Raul.
Lowe. I assume that we've moved on to the second item there,
Thank
the
you.
staff.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. Yes, August support staff team member.
August support staff team.
It's August.
See, it takes all of us to keep us on the straight and narrow.
It takes a team effort.
Maybe it was like a curveball because usually we're recognizing with an auditorium full of kids and others, but we'd have a very special recognition this evening. The members of our support staff make up half of all of our employee team members, and they are a vital part of the delivery of our vision of excellence and our mission of student success. And so every month, this board takes time out to recognize one individual who is an example of those highest ideals of excellent service and integrity. And I am sure, Mr. Downs, that we have another shining example of that tonight.
I do want to share a personal story. About a week into school, Ramon, who was sick, he would be here to celebrate as well, had a barbecue, and he invited me over. And when I went there, I wanted to sit at a table where I didn't know any of the people at the table. I'm going to find the most unfamiliar faces I could. And I sat down at our recipient's table with his son. His son also works with us. And I can tell you everything that is in this letter really came true after I met him the first time. Very charismatic, very nice person, had a great conversation. We talked about all kinds of things. We talked about boxing, which I knew nothing about. But just a very, very nice person. And when I saw his name came up and he got selected, the letter that I had read matched the person that I had met like 2 weeks before. So I'm really excited to present this year's nominee. So it was nominated by two people. Mrs. Lazardi and Ramon endorsed it as well. They have nominated Mr. Angel Magana as the Sahuarita Unified School Staff Member of the Month. With great pleasure that we recognize Mr. Magana as the Support Staff Member of the Month. Angel's extraordinary work ethic and keen eye for detail set him apart as a true leader in our community. He takes immense pride in his work, which is evident in consistently well-maintained appearance of Wrightson Ridge campus. Despite the large expanse he is responsible for, Angel ensures that every area is cared for with precision and dedication. Angel's work ethic is a shining example of the Disney way of excellence. He contributes greatly to the positive atmosphere on our campus, treating every student and staff member as if they were guests, offering them a special experience through his exceptional ability to create beautiful surroundings. His leadership and excellence make him a role model to those around him. Angel's magical skill set and commitment to our community make him a truly deserving of this recognition. Again, Mr. Angel Magana.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you do. Congratulations. Now we'd like to go on. Ms. Blasio, do we have any call to publics? Okay, thank you very much. Then we'll move on to Item number 9, new business. A, policy revision.
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Dr. Mazzillo.
And I would ask that we take these policy revisions one at a time. These are unique ones. There will be more that are on the way as part of our normal subscription services with the Arizona School Boards Association and their policy services. But these are kind of unique. This first one is the dress code policy. And really, we're only making a point of clarification. There's no substantive change. What happened is, Amber interacts with the community on many levels, including personal inquiries and communication from individual parents. And this came up because, as you know, we have designated colors that are allowed for shirts and for pants and shorts: blue, dark blue, light blue. There's certain designated colors, but we needed to designate and clarify that in all those cases, those are supposed to be solid colors. And so we wanted to just clarify that point, which is generally understood and doesn't come up, but for the point of clarity, we wanted to make that change. So as keeping in the tradition, and I think the good practice, best practice of the board, at this time I would recommend tabling that policy revision as it was presented.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number B, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. This is another one of these, I guess you'd call it kind of unique policies that represent practice in regards to, of all things, our construction projects, of which we have lots of them right now. State law, specifically in Title 34, allows for the building permitting process that often falls upon public municipalities and their engineers to be delegated and designated to other design professionals like architects or engineers. And it allows the client, in this case the school district, exemption from that building process from the local jurisdiction in favor of a contract with one of these private design professionals. And it's normally how schools do it. It's how we've done it in the past. But we need to have this policy in place that designates our ability to do that. So Scott, in speaking with our attorney, Gary Ehrman, recommended that we bring this particular policy and put it on our books, if you will. So I would, at this time, recommend that you table it in line with our practice.
Thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Discussion?
I was to say, could we have, the second, we have B and C on here.
Yeah.
One is the actual policy and one is the exhibit.
Yes, sir.
Can we take both of these in one motion?
If you would like to do that with a notation for the minutes, I believe that you can, given that the other one is merely an exhibit that's reflective of the
Yeah.
same policy.
So could I ask whoever motioned that to amend their motion to accept A and C
That's
together?
allowable. That's allowable.
And I'll re-second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, for catching that. Then we will move on to item number 10. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. And in a second here, I'll turn this one over to my colleague, Mr. Downs. This is, as the board and public may be aware, a law was passed many, many years ago called Proposition 301. It allows for an additional sales tax that, of course, generates X amount of revenue every year, depending on the ebb and flow of the business cycle. And it's designated specifically for education and significantly for compensation of specifically the teacher work group. That is in the statute. There's basically three parts. There's a part called the base that automatically goes to teachers. There's a part that's what's called the menu. You could pick tutoring, professional development. I always say with a great deal of pride that the vision and the approach of this governing board has always been to place as much as possible of that in the hands of teachers to increase their compensation. And the last part's called the performance, and maybe this is where Scott can kind of talk in a little more detail. again, we've always tried to make it relevant in terms of relevant goals, the focus on growth and the idea that we can help every youngster improve over time, whether it's academically. We also focus on important areas such as attendance and dropout rates, and also customer satisfaction through instruments such as our organizational health inventory. So, but it does require board approval. So I turn it over to Scott. Could you kind of summarize in a little detail kind of the plan, Scott?
Yes, thank you. In your packet, you have a copy of the performance pay plan. It's almost identical to the one last year, so this is nothing new. By statute, you're allowed to pick 6 or 7 items that can be in your performance plan, and we always pick the 5 that are most appropriate for our school and our kids. And just to summarize real quick, 33%, if they get it, comes from a highly effective or effective evaluation on their teacher performance. There's a professional growth goal that Mr. Bonner and Mrs. Robinson works on with the teachers to make appropriate growth goals for students and make sure that it's student-centered. And then the last 3 I keep track of, but we have to have a certain dropout level of less than 10%, attendance rates that we have to have 90% or better, again, very student-centered, and we have to conduct a parent-student survey, which Ms. Amber Woods helps us administrate. So again, we want to make it appropriate but obtainable, and without any other ado, I'd recommend to Dr. Valenzuela that he recommend that this be approved by the school board.
And again, by statute, this is a required board action. So I do recommend approval of the Proposition 301 performance pay plan for year 24-25 as presented.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Really quickly, Scott, you indicated that there was just a few changes from last year. Can you highlight those for us?
Yeah, I think the only changes were just a couple of very minor things in the academic performance. They had tweaked a couple of things. So it was in professional growth goal, and on the last page of the student academic progress, I think principals had talked about it and made some very, very minor changes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your work on that. We will move on to consent agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Lowe. At this time, I would recommend approval of the consent agenda with, again, prior reference to the noted amendment at the beginning. But that point given, I would recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Possible future agenda considerations. Do we have any tonight?
Yeah, Madam President, I would like to, at a future time in the not too distant future, if we could take a look at and review specifically one of our policies, and that would be, yeah, and I'll get you the name. I want to read the letter. It's the Staff Conflict of Interest Policy, GBEAA. I'd just like to have a review and conversation about that. I think it needs some clarification and structure over time. I think it's kind of basic in its structure, just to allow future understanding and consistency of the application of that policy.
Perfect. We'll move on that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to establish the next board meeting, September 11th, 2024, here in the district auditorium. Do we need a motion on that? Do we motion the meeting? No. No, we don't have any. No, because I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting.